Welcome to the Bite Back Morning Drive with me, Jon D'Agostino from D'Agostino & Associates. I'm going to talk to professionals about how they handle the potholes and curves without the crash and burn. They're going to share how they make the journey the most important part of their lives. So buckle up, because here we go. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you, bud?
Good. Have you learned how to maneuver the curves without the crash and burn?
I think I've maneuvered many turns and had some crashes and burns along the way, but life as it goes.
That's part of life, right?
Exactly.
Where we are at this stage in our lives, man, if we haven't had some crash and burns and gotten through them, we haven't lived. That's how I feel.
I think we both know we're lucky we have lived some of the things we've been through.
That's true also. So let's start with today. Let's start with the snapshot of your life right now. You look happy, you seem like a happy guy. Hopefully you're happy on the inside as well. I think,
okay.
Yeah, I think, you live a good life. And I'm just curious, like just right now, give me a snapshot of a typical week for you. Because I know you've got a great mix of family stuff, Craig stuff, work stuff, right? Is that the balance right there?
Yes. A week of mine it's kind of busy. Even Kirsten says to me, as my wife, she says, "Where do you get the energy to do what you do?" And I said, "I don't know, but it just happens." So typical week for me. Let's start on Sunday. Sunday, I could be out showing houses. I could be just chilling on the couch. I could be heading to the dump. I could be doing, multiple things. But, for the most part, I'm usually following up on some work with some clients.
You're selling real estate.
Yes, selling real estate. That's what I've been doing for the last 17 years since I moved to North Carolina. My wife and I both got our licenses. Okay. We recreated ourselves. But a typical week here is...
Take me through it real quick.
I'll ref a couple of hockey games on Sunday night. Monday morning, wake up, play some backgammon with my wife and start my day, meeting clients, heading to the office, taking care of emails, things like that. Ref maybe Wednesday night and as well as Monday nights. And again, Thursday night's poker night, Friday night, Saturday night with the wife. And during the day is basically real estate work stuff, which could be a plethora of things from inspections, walkthroughs, closings, just name it. But that's typical of my business.
So you created a balance that keeps you happy, keeps the bills getting paid, and keeps the family and the relationship with Kirsten fun and strong and all that important stuff, right?
At this point, most of our kids are gone. One's got her own home, the other's away finishing up work at where she was at college, and my son's here for a little bit, but he just works and back in his room, so we don't really see him much at all.
Awesome. But it's funny you say, she asks you how you find the time, or how you find the energy. I get asked that all the time.
I've asked you that 1,000 times, I think.
Here's the thing, since I was a kid, I always woke up early, and I always went to sleep late. And I always say, that if God gave me one great gift, it's the ability to do that and function fine. I just, for whatever reason. And when people ask me how I find the time to do what I do, I say, well, what else can I do with my time but do the things that I'm passionate about, right? So at this stage of my life, it's family, it's my law firm, and it's my music. I'm doing one of those three things, something to do with either family or work or music.
Or maybe a Broadway show, maybe a ball game.
Music, writing, songwriting,
maybe a trip to Disney.
I throw friends in there too, but these are the passions.
Yeah.
If you're not filling your time with the stuff that you're passionate about, then you're missing out on what's most important.
That's something they don't teach in school. It's so basic, and I know you've probably instilled it in your children. I've seen it for knowing you for the past 50 years or so.
It's had our anniversary, 50 year
anniversary. We had our anniversary.
We took our anniversary cruise, river cruise.
We disguised it as a 60th birthday cruise.
Yeah. No, but it's true. And it's too many people just, listen, if your passion is watching all the ball games and you like to to do that, then do that. But if your passion is playing golf 3 times a week, do that too. But the fear is having grown old and then sitting on regrets of things you never went to do or tried or places you didn't see. So yeah, unless you can convince me I'm coming back and I got another chance at this life, I'm going to get out there and squeeze as much of what I want to do into it, what I've got, with and keep ourselves healthy. What's interesting about you is you're not a gym guy, so
Never was.
never was, but you played sports. You played hockey. You played racquetball. Now you're roughing hockey, and I know that can't be easy to be skating around. You're on skates, right?
Oh yeah, of course.
Okay, roller hockey. What do I know?
I did that too.
Yeah, so you're skating around for how long? A few hours?
We skate. It's usually 2 games a night. Every once in a while, I'll do a trip, but it's an hour per game running time. So you're skating for about 55 minutes of the 60 minutes. Really, you're constantly moving, and while you're refereeing, you have to be moving.
You got to be doing something. And I love that you say you're constantly moving, because that's what I think life is about. Constantly moving, constantly changing, constantly going, to keep your relationships going, to keep, finding new friends. It's just keep going, keep moving, keep changing, keep evolving. I've heard this saying, evolve or you die, it's one of these. And one of the things, and you and I can talk for days, about whatever, right? But we don't have days. So, I'm going to go from the present. I'm going to take us back to the past, because one other thing that we have in common is we both worked in family businesses, which I thought was really cool. And I think we both learned some valuable lessons from working in a family business with our dads. You worked with your brothers. Tell me, briefly what that business was. And I want the good, the bad, and the ugly of
right.
that.
So the good, bad, and ugly. We worked. It was the company name initially was A. Shatilla Company. My grandparents started a dancewear manufacturing company where they made basics, bodysuits, leggings type things, all the way up to dance recital.
It's a big company.
Oh yeah, and then it turned into dance recital costumes, and we took it from a little small mom and pop. It got big. We were nationwide and partially international as well. Days there were very stress and pressure oriented. Working with your family, you can never do enough.
When did you start with your dad?
I started?
Yeah, when did you start?
Really, when I was a kid, weekends, Saturdays, every Saturday I went to Brooklyn with my dad, took the drive.
What's a kid? 10, 12, 13? What's a kid?
Yes, and yes. I remember all my buddies were going out to play wiffle ball or ball in the park right behind my house, and I had to go to work I left my 8:30 and got back at 3:30, 4 o'clock every Saturday. So, work was always instilled in me at an early age, so.
Did you?
So I started sweeping floors, cleaning bathrooms, oiling sewing machines, and then vacuuming the whole place up so it was clean for Monday when the seamstress got back to work. And then as I grew older, out of college, I got into sales, started doing trade shows. I actually started those at 16, doing trade shows around the country, going to dance conventions.
So you kind of became the face of the company, right?
Say again?
You were the face of the company? You became the face of the
company?
Pretty
much, yeah. One of my brothers ran the cutting department. My other brother ran production and shipping, and I ran the upfront office. And I was on the road meeting people, shaking hands, and saying hello to everybody.
So hold it right there. So for me, my family business was construction. Since this summer, I was 13. Summer of 78, I started working there. So 13, 14, 15, 16, everything you can imagine in demolition, every job you can imagine, I did it. I was always kind of raised to believe I'm going to take my dad's place in the construction company, but yet every summer, working with cousins, uncles, family, my dad, when you don't feel that connection, you don't feel that love for what you're doing early on and the excitement to do this, even though you're groomed to run a company someday, if you don't feel that excitement, it's a problem, so, I went to law school and figured I'd be a lawyer for the construction company. That was my escape. What I know, things took a turn with your family business. I would say after your dad passed away.
It was starting kind of before, and then at some point it was time to basically shut it down. And
Yeah.
it was probably the hardest time in my life, because women that have worked for us since I was a kid. Now this is in my 40s, so I've known these women since I'm a little kid. I used to see them in the factory all the time, and then now I have to tell what 50, 60 people don't show up for work tomorrow. It's over. It was one of the most difficult times in my life for sure. And I fired many people,
Yeah.
but to
That's
say goodbye
that's a
to say
mess.
goodbye to something that the only thing I ever knew in my life for work.
Yeah.
It was a little earth shattering, scary. And it actually, in between there, I transitioned. We had moved before we officially closed it down. I had moved to North Carolina. My wife had her own company, and I had the family business along with my brothers. So we moved down to North Carolina when we kind of we did a slow with the factory. We had to kind of cut the factory off. We started manufacturing overseas, so I had to kind of let all these people go. And I didn't need to be up in that area anymore to go to work anymore, because I didn't have to go to work at an office anymore to do what I needed to do. So we moved down to North Carolina, and we basically started a new life.
I was going to say, at that point, did you have a clue what the next chapter was going to be, or what your next passion would be, or how you're going to make a living? Did you have anything that you
No, and that was the scariest part. Thankfully, my wife had a successful business. So the first year we got to North Carolina, we're like, what are we going to do? We took a year off, but she had her company. She had to go up and down to New York or New Jersey with, but not where she had to be there every day. So then we decided to let's get our real estate license. I've been involved in a lot of real estate transactions with my dad, who did a lot of investing. In fact, we sold one of our buildings to Home Depot, which was kind of an interesting story for Staten Island.
Right.
But
These properties.
yeah, so we got into real estate, and it was kind of interesting. We moved to a brand new development, brand new neighborhood, all that stuff. So all the people we knew, all the people in my immediate sphere, were people that just moved into a brand new community. So there wasn't really a lot going on. We both had our licenses, and my company had given me 2 years of healthcare, but now that was going to run out the following year. I said, I got to get a job.
Yeah.
I've never had to do before. Get an actual job as an adult.
Didn't you sell cars?
Yes. I said, let me find a company that has benefits, something I think I can handle. And I met with a big car company down here, the Leaf family of cars, and had an interview. And the guy interviewed me, says, so you had a business, you were pretty successful. Why do you want to work here? I said, honestly, I just need health benefits for my family. My wife is doing well with her business, and all I need is benefits. And if I can make X amount of dollars a year, I'll be fine. It wasn't money. I needed something to do. And provide.
And I'm sure you expected that you'd be able to do well enough there, because you've got your sales. You've got salesman skills. You've got those street skills that we grew up with.
Yeah.
And and the first rule of sales is what? Sell yourself, right? So you connect with people.
I never struggled. I never with that. And I had a kid I worked with. He said to me one day, and I thought he was being a chop breaker. He says, Shatilla, he goes, you never met a stranger. And first I was like a little twisted about it, I like that. What are you talking about? And he says, no. He goes, that's a compliment. He goes, you meet somebody that comes into the store, you meet him on the lot. Within 5 minutes, you guys are yucking it up and laughing at the table. And it's like them forever. And I said, oh, okay.
That's the title of your book, by the way. I never met a stranger. I like that. It's a good sales mantra. And it's a connection. It's being able to connect.
Yeah, and I think we grew up pretty much together in our formative years from 6th grade on, and I've always noticed how you move somewhere, right? And a few years later, I'm behind. You moved to
North Carolina, Craig.
You moved to Townsville. You moved to Jersey, Monmouth County. Boom, I moved to Jersey, Monmouth County. Don't know why. It's just kind of funny how things happen, but I think we grew up very much the same in a lot of ways in life.
And we never forgot where we came from. I think that's really important, because, I have clients, accident victims, from all walks of life. And, I've been told, from many that, we have 9 or 10 attorneys in the firm. I have I have a way of connecting with them. I have a way. I'm not talking down to them, talking to them. These are two human beings. We're having a conversation. Maybe English is their second language. You can't,
Right.
you can't talk like a sophisticated, educated lawyer and put on this show when somebody's just trying to understand what their options are, and you have to slow it down, and you have to look them in the eye, and you have to make sure they understand every single word, so that they can make the right decisions and stay informed. And that connection is not something they teach you in school at
That's
all.
the key word, connection. That is it's such a simple word, but if you can connect with somebody on just the smallest of levels, it
Yeah.
can explode into enormity.
I just saw an interview with David Foster, the great writer, pianist, composer, producer, and he asked him what's the most important, quality of finding success in the music business. He said, really, in any business, he goes, but in the music business, it's not talent. And he went through this list and he said, you know what it is? It's relationships. You have to have key relationships because you can have all the talent in the world, but if you don't get doors opened for you and people who are championing you, it's not going to happen. There are people out there. I know from my music business, my publishing company in Nashville, the girl serving me my eggs at the diner can sing like Carrie Underwood, but she hasn't gotten a break. Maybe she doesn't have the right relationships. Maybe she hasn't met the right people. Maybe she's not going out at night and networking and going to this thing and performing at that thing. And somebody else is, who maybe even less talented, but they're kicking open those doors and they're meeting those people. And, or they're getting on that reality show. So many people have made it through, The Voice and American Idol and stuff like that. Just having that thing that says, I got to get out there, because if I don't get out there, nothing's going to happen. Singing in the shower, singing to my friends and family is not going to get me.
It's like the title of your podcast, Morning Drive, right? It's that drive. What drives you? What pushes you to places? How come John always winds up in this specific spot? Because he's lucky?
No.
Probably not. It's got nothing to do with luck. We've had this conversation before. Yeah. It's not about luck. You have opportunities are everywhere around you. You got to find them.
The luckier I get, right? You've heard that? The harder I work, the luckier I get.
That's it.
And
it's so true.
You do need luck. You do need an element of luck in life. There's good luck and there's bad luck. And we
exactly
thank God for the good luck, because there are things that we cannot control. And that's why I've coined the phrase, and I've tried to write this as a song many times. Thank God for problems I can fix. Because
right.
There are problems you can't fix. Give me the flat tire, give me the leaky roof, give me this. I don't care. I'm not going to lose sleep over stuff like that. But going back to school, we've also had people in our lives who have told us we're not going to amount to anything, who have told us we're not going to make it, who have told us we're just not going to find success. We both shared a teacher in school who gave us both this and a few other students.
Say it.
Once a C student, always a C student.
100.
You're all C students. Remember, we said you're always going to do C work for the rest of your lives, right?
Right. Yeah.
And
you say, Mr. Walters, see what we did? See what we accomplished? Well, we were C students.
Isn't that crazy? How old were we? 14?
We was middle school. We had to be 14 years old.
That resonated with us so much back then. And we held on to that for almost 50 years. Yeah. And we still feel some sort of validation, right? And yet it was Harry Truman who said it's the C students that rule the world. And I saw that quote and I was like, okay. But yeah, we weren't the A students, you were at one point the class clown. I was the class jock. We did the best we could. I cared more about my batting average than my grade point average at that time. Turned it on in college, turned it on in law school, turned it on really when I had to go to work.
How to work out.
Build a career. It's working out okay.
It's okay.
But the truth is, if I'm not, it's me. If I'm up until 3 a.m. working on a piece, I'm working for me. So I still have the fear and the hunger that I had when I opened my own practice and jumped ship from a firm that wasn't really delivering the promises to me. I still have that fear. I still get excited when the phone rings because I know what it's like to not have that phone ring and to think about where the cases are coming. You know what I mean? But I think that the road to success,
needs those doubters.
Yeah,
And,
it needs those off ramps sometimes, and then eventually you got to get back on. You got to find the exit ramp back on again and continue on your journey. Which I think I know I've done it. I know you have for sure, and thankfully countless others that we know.
Yeah, when you look back now at this point, because now I say to people, I always use sports analogies because I played so much sports my whole life. Like I said, we're in the 6th inning now of our life.
Yeah,
well, we're in the 6th inning. Listen, I hope we go into extra innings.
Be nice.
It'd be nice, but listen, my dad was gone at 64. And he had a procedure that went bad. He wasn't supposed to go. He was supposed to be okay. And my mom is still kicking at 89.
Right.
And your genes are your genes. Your situation. Your mom passed when you were younger.
I was 27. She was 56. So,
but
I've got 10 years to outlive my dad, and I've outlived my mom way too long already.
Crazy how we think about stuff like that,
It's life. It's reality.
I tell my kids, watch me. Don't worry about my dad. Don't worry about my grandparents. Don't worry about any of that because we've never been smokers. We are relatively healthy. We could both do more. We could both be healthier, but it's going to be interesting to see, mentally and physically how we live out the rest of our lives.
How we progress.
Regress. I don't know. But looking back, are there any regrets? You could go back and fix or change something.
I
do something differently.
Honestly, I've thought about that. You think about that, you sit and ponder sometimes and thoughts like, what would I change? And really, there's not too much I really would change because it's been my path, whatever it was, wherever I have been has brought me to this place. So I've thought about it, and I tell people, I don't think I wouldn't trade my life for anyone else's. I don't believe.
I mean, it's a great way to think of it because you can't change the past, number one. And, so why let it, get you down now? And you can only change what's happening right now.
The road's that way behind us. Anything that had gone wrong in the past is a very small mark in my rearview mirror, but the windshield is big and there's still, at least I feel, a lot ahead. So when I look back, there's no, you can reflect and say, oh, maybe I could have done something differently, but to change or have a regret, I don't believe so. Cause I don't think I'd be as happy as I am right now.
Yeah. For better or worse, I always hear that ticking clock. And to me, it's a blessing. To me, it's not about death. It's about life. It's about being aware that I know there's going to be an end. If you're not aware that there's going to be an end, and people just think about death. I'm not worried about death because death is death. I want to stay healthy. I want to be healthy in my 70s and 80s. It's that, sometimes like your dad suffered through cancer for a while and for a long while, and it probably got worse towards the end, and that's the stuff. I want to stay healthy. My wife Jade's grandmother lived to almost 94, and up till maybe a month before she had a heart attack, this woman would wake up, make her bed, put on her makeup, go out, go to the mall. It was amazing. It was.
She was like base. I remember her taking me out in poker tournaments.
She drank beer when we played poker. She was dancing.
She had a zest for life at an older age, which is great.
That's a blessing, because you don't want to spend 10 years, slowly dying, whatever that is. That's the concern.
What did it say? It's the dash, right? The dash. The dash between the dash.
Yeah. And the last thing I want to ask you, Craig, is I love this expression, success leaves clues. That if you want to do something, look around who's doing it well. What are they doing right? And they leave clues. Now, I think of that in terms of parenting. And if your kids are paying attention to you, because, they are. And they watch what we do and they hear what we say and they watch your relationship with Kirsten and all that. If you're leaving clues, not deliberately, but just through your actions and through your words, what do you hope that they learn and take into the rest of their lives? Not a trick question. I'm just curious.
No, really, to me, I think about this for myself. It's going through whatever you're doing. Go through with confidence. Have that feeling of that it's going to happen. I'm going to make it happen no matter what happens. I mean, like I said, back when we went through a little bit, right? But I picked myself back up. I recreated myself. We did cars for 4 years, and then I've been doing real estate solidly for the last 15, 16 years. And it's been somewhat of a success, right? So the thing is, you're going to fall down, you're going to trip, but get back up and go forward. Just go forward one step, one little bit at a time is going to bring you, a little plus a little plus a little turns into a lot at some point. And everybody's lot is a different size. But for me, and success is not measured in dollars and cents, as you well know. It's measured in, it's all personal. What's personal success? But I think, my kids see it between Kirsten and myself. Just work, go forward, be true and honest, and things will happen to you if you're doing it with the right intent.
Absolutely. And I think that whether you realize it or not, and I know you do realize it, that your daughters are watching you to also learn what type of man they want in their lives, because they see the love between you and your wife, and and I wrote a song once called How to Love, and it's just that. It's a daughter singing about how she learned how to love by watching her dad not sit down and tell her, here's what love is all about. Just watching her dad reach out and hold her mom's hand, or bring home flowers for no reason, or do all these things. And that's, I think you had shared a conversation once that you had with your daughter about that, finding the person who, is that mix of being a hard worker, enjoying dancing, family time, all that stuff, So I think that's the most important thing. I think that's our legacy. What we leave behind is when we're not here anymore, they're going to talk about, and they're going to remember all of that,
We hope.
I hope. Yeah, because you forget. Listen, we all have been through. Any parent who has had to really parent, has been through something with their kids. It's not all, joy, but but it's all about shaping them and teaching them. So, all right, my friend. Anything else you want to say?
No, that's great talking to you. I mean, we get to talk a lot on the phone, but this is nice to see you for a while, and it's not awkward.
I'll be seeing you soon in Vegas.
I will see what in 10 days. 10. Yeah. I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, looking forward to that.
Yeah, let's do it. All right, man.
All right, buddy.
Everyone, say hi to everybody.
You too. You as well. Have a great day.
Yeah. All right, bye-bye.
Peace.
Yeah.
You've been tuning in to the Bite Back Morning Drive with your host, yours truly, Jon D'Agostino. You can find this show on all major platforms, including YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and on our website at www.daglawteam.com. Thank you for your positive reviews, your comments, questions, and for sharing this show with others. We'll see you on the next Morning Drive. D'Agostino Law Bite Back.